pretty kind person. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carbone.
Hello, concerned citizens. Jeff, I'm going to talk about one of your favorite subjects today. We're going to talk about...
Cocks?
Well, close. We're going to talk about bonobos. It is monkeys. It is apes.
I really had no idea that's where you're going. I was just pulling that out of my macaque.
No, bonobos are actually our closest living relative. Did you know that?
Actually, I have an uncle that's still alive.
Okay. Well, once he dies, it's the bonobo.
The bonobo is my closest living relative.
That's right. Once he, and then
does he have to come over for Thanksgiving? Because my uncle's a real asshole.
Well, here's the thing: when your uncle dies, you and the bonobo both have to spend an evening in his haunted mansion, and whichever one of you makes it till morning gets the Kanata fortune. It's gonna be you or the bonobo.
I need to pause the bit for a second.
Yeah,
and just tell, my mom listens to these, and I need to tell her that I don't actually think her brother's an asshole. If she's listening, I don't. That was a bit I was doing,
and that you also don't think he's your closest relative.
He actually lives in Utah now, so yeah, no, he's not close at all. No, Idaho. He's in Idaho. Yeah. Anyway, it was a bit, Mom. It was a bit,
Mom. And if my mom's listening, we should have a rich uncle. Just think about it. Here's the deal. They're our closest living relative in that they take out large credit cards and loans.
Yeah. Yes.
They
send you really offensive Facebook messages.
That's right.
Like, why are you into this stuff, bonobo?
They're easily marketed to, but they are our closest relative now in a new way. And it's a pretty cool one. This is a trait that was considered to be uniquely human. Uniquely human, Jeff. Do you want to take a guess?
A uniquely human trait. The bonobos are now, man, that's a tough one. Is it surfing, ability to surf?
That's right. It's the ability to surf.
Uniquely human.
It's uniquely human. Well, and some dogs.
Oh, that's true. I've seen the dogs with the goggles.
Yeah. But here's the thing about the dogs. They do need a human's help to get up on the wave.
That's right. Yeah. The bonobos are just figuring it out on their own.
That's right. No, it's that they started an affordable clothing company, and Bonobos is our sponsor today. No, this is something interesting. They basically are known for making grunts, peeps, whistles, and hoots, which is not a uniquely human thing.
Grunts, peeps, whistles, and hoots.
Yeah, it's a real hoedown.
Sounds like it.
It's a real barn burner down there in Bonobo Town.
Bonobo, I think that's called the Country Bear Jamboree.
That's right.
That's what that's called.
These 4 scientists accidentally went to the Country Bear Jamboree. No, it's a complex language structure that's called non-trivial compositionality. Non-trivial compositionality. Okay.
So let's parse that. Non-trivial means, it didn't just happen on its own. It's purposeful.
It means it's a big deal.
Yeah. And what was the second word?
Compositionality.
So they're composing it, right? They're orchestrating something. They're making something.
That's right. They are writing symphonies.
Wow. The Bonobo Symphony. It's a hoot and a holler.
No, it turns out that it means that they're not just vocalizing and they're not just combining sounds into vocalizing, but the way that they're combining those sounds shows a subtext. So
is it all just cat calls and wolf whistles? Is it just like a hot bonobo walks by and they're like, whoop, whoa? Just offensive.
And then it turns out that bonobo was actually not a hot lady bonobo. It was their arch nemesis. Dressed as a hot lady. That's right. It was Bayespo, dressed as a hot lady. And then when they follow it, Bayespo goes, "You masher!" and then slaps them with a glove that has an anvil in it. Yeah.
That does track with them conducting the symphonies because it's all set to the Ride of the Valkyries.
That's right. No, what it is basically like we have a word for broken. We have a word for heart. When we put broken heart together, we don't mean a physically broken heart, right? It has a meaning. It turns out that bonobos are supposed to be able to do this, which is something that other animals, like we've seen dolphins give each other names, right? Dolphins have sounds that mean the name of the dolphin. We've also seen dolphins use sort of complex phrasing, but we haven't really seen them use this sort of non-trivial compositionality.
It's because we've never broken the heart of a dolphin. You can't. They're too beautiful.
I would say go back to one of our earlier episodes. We've broken some dolphin hearts. The science community has broken some dolphin hearts. Love them and leave them is what science used to say about the dolphin community. Basically, these scientists took 700 vocalizations from wild bonobos in the Kokolapori Bonobo Reserve, which is a community managed...
Way down in Kokolapori.
That's right. It was started by Mike Love.
It's true.
It was Mike Love and the guy who played Uncle Jesse came together. John Stamos and Mike Love came together and created a bonobo reserve.
Irving in the you know how it goes. Yeah.
For just $1 a month, you could save a little monkey. It's a bonobo reserve. So this is a community managed area. They're accustomed to human presence, right? They didn't have to sneak in and
presents.
Yeah, they're accustomed to being woken up every day, once a day. They give themselves a little present, and
human present.
That's right. We leave just a little something on their pillow at the Coco.
It's always a toothbrush for me because man, bonobos get it together with the oral care.
That's right. They're pretty bad at it, and when you ask them why, they can non-trivially tell you to get fucked and mind your own business. So basically, because they're accustomed to human presence, they didn't need to do a whole bunch of stuff to like hide amongst the bonobos or like whatever. These bonobos are going to act normal around humans, which is great. So they basically, for these 700 vocalizations, these 700 different calls and sounds that bonobos make, the team tracked its contextual details. Okay, so they were like, this is what the bonobo's doing. This is what, when they produced the sounds, this was their mood, their apparent mood when they produced the sounds. And this is how others responded to the sounds. And they used that to create sort of a language map.
Well, it's interesting. I was going to say, it's interesting that they're not using the word language.
Yeah. Well, they are thinking of it in terms of language, but it's not a fully fleshed out language, right?
Yeah,
we don't want to go ahead and say that this is like load up Bonobo on Duolingo, right? Like
right.
that's not, there's not much to learn. It's a peep, a hoot, a whistle, and a howl.
But it sounds like non-trivial compositional is like the step below language. Is that what we're like approaching language level of complexity, but we're not there yet. We're just compositionally non-trivial.
Yeah. So like one of the examples that they use is like a bonobo could use a peep, and it would be like, I'd like to. Like, peep, I'd like to do this. While a yelp is like, no, let's do this. Like a Vin Diesel sort of like, everybody get in the car, get behind the wheel. I live my life a quarter mile at a time. But they also seem to like join these things together. So like if they paired an I'd like to peep with a whistle that meant they would pair like an I would like to peep with a let's stick together whistle. Okay. And do you know when they would do you know when they would
like let's get it on.
Jeff, that's exactly what it is.
Oh, it's the eggplant and peach emoji of bonobo non-trivial
It really is.
Compositions.
It really is. They have a peep that means I'd like to. And then they have a whistle that means let's stick together, like when they're out, in a group. But if you pair I would like to and let's stick together, they would use that during copulation.
I'd like to stick together.
Yeah. You remember that old Marvin Gaye song?
Yes.
I'd like to stick together.
A peep and a holler with you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is pretty dope. Because nobody because it kind of means they're using slang almost.
Interesting.
Right? Because let's do this and let's stick together as a group. But then like when you put it together, it's like, oh, I have to get somewhere, or oh, that's down there. But get down means something different, right?
that's down there. You should see to it. It's down there.
That's what what they're doing. And so they're kind of doing this in all these different situations. That means like they're putting things together. And
so it is just cat calls and wolf whistles.
It is just cat calls and wolf whistles. Yes. Unfortunately, all of the slang was some form of we're fucking or let's fuck.
Funniest part about this is that it's all interpreted by the creepy humans that are watching from. They're used to being around us. They're just humping.
No, they like us. They put out a cuck chair. They enjoy it. It's their thing. Don't kink shame the bonobos. That's not what we're about here at Kokolapelli. At Kokolapelli, we respect a bonobo's kinks.
Do you hear how much they're hooting and whistling at us? They're saying, come down here, watch this shit.
You would not believe this shit, is what we're saying. This is pretty funny. Like, okay. Another one, they had sort of like a bonobo dictionary. Like a complete list of bonobo calls and their meaning is what they came up with. So they basically first they got all of these individual calls, the peeps, the hoots, the whistles, the howls. That's how they got the two bits that were like, let's stick together and I would like to. They went through. I would
love so much to see how do you write down the words of a hoot or a whistle? You know what I mean? Like I want to see this dictionary of it sounds like ulu ulu ooh, or it sounds like but. You know, how are they doing that?
So it's funny. I asked a linguist once. I was like, when you're writing down, because if you think about if you think about when you look in a dictionary and it has the phonetic pronunciation next to a word, and it's like all that stuff, you know, it's like the little mark that represents the schwa sound and like the E that's upside down and all that shit. Yeah. That's like the simplified version that you and I are supposed to be able to understand. And we don't, because it's been a long time since we learned that. And it's a skill that has fallen by the wayside, unfortunately. But linguists, it's just like they have a specific word for every different type of sound. They have a symbol for it, right?
I had to learn this in acting school. I went to acting school and we had to learn the phonetic. We got a phonetic dictionary and we had to write out Beowulf in Old English in phonetic, a skill that has served me 0% in my life. But
no, that sounds very good.
With this.
Sounds like it made you a much better actor.
Yeah, it did. Because every time now that I get my English words, I can write it in a completely undecipherable script.
That's right.
It's great. It's wonderful.
I would like to see this as well, because I would like to see because they have to differentiate. They got 700 of these, right? Yeah. But they're only mentioning 4 distinct categories of sound.
Right. This is like Alaskan's word for ice. You know, it's like, we got to get some more words for this.
Yeah. Like, wow. Where I come from, we just say ice. It's like, yeah, well, get some lived experience.
It's not enough detail for us.
Yeah, we have a lot of it. Okay. It's like in Florida, how we have 700 words for gnat, and they're all in your mouth. Not just the word, but the gnats. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to get over this, Jeff. I just got back from Florida, and I had forgotten.
Mouthful of gnats.
It's just the air is the air is so humid you have to swim through it. And it's not just humid, it's also full of bug. The air is either water or bug.
Sounds unpleasant.
It's terrible. Yeah. There are some very cool looking lizards, though. They're little lizards.
How do they feel in your mouth?
Wonderful. It's a cool lizard in your mouth on a warm Florida day. Oh,
that's bayou living.
Please. You want to eat a lizard, you just reach up and you pluck it. So they had this bonobo dictionary, and they created the meaning of the single bonobo vocalizations, and then they moved into investigating these combinations. And they said they basically just use these approaches that we're talking about from linguistics, where it's like, not only are they looking for specific body language and social context, which they have specific words for in the study of linguistics, but they're also writing these things down phonetically in a notation that other linguists will understand. So then they found that these call combinations, like their meaning was related to the meaning of single parts, right? So like, you know, they found out there was a call for like big and a call for cat, right? And you could put them together and make big cat, right? That's compositionality, right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
But then it's when they really started figuring out that they were doing these other things that were like the broken heart or the let's get it on,
where it's like more of a sort of ephemeral concept.
Yeah.
Slang, I guess, is what you're really talking about, where it is not the literal meaning of the two parts adds up to something greater.
Exactly. So it's like, oh, I know that, wait, these two bonobos is fucking. And I know that one is saying something that means it would like to. And that one is saying something that means like, let's stay in a group.
Yeah.
So it's like,
she wants a threesome.
Oh no, the marriage is over. So that's when they were like, oh, these call types are like complex. It's must not be as unique to humans as we thought. Huh. But the bigger thing that we learned from this, Jeff, is that since humans and bonobos had a common ancestor about 7 to 13 million years ago, compositionality may have started with that ancestor. Like if it's appearing in these two different, in us and in the bonobos, there's no reason it would be tougher for both species to develop compositionality separately.
Independently. Yeah, right. It makes more sense that it started earlier and then carried down the chain rather than spontaneously appearing in two ends of the same chain.
Exactly. So our direct ancestor, which I believe was just a 7 foot tall bonobo, but with sort of like handsome Squidward.
Yeah.
With like it's a bonobo, but it's got like a very handsome human face. I believe that's what our common ancestor was.
Yeah.
I will not look it up. I absolutely refuse. But whatever this gentleman bonobo was compositionality. Now, did complex compositionality come from that ancestor? That's a bigger question, right? Because from compositionality to complex compositionality over a period of millions of years, sure, that's probably going to happen, right? Like if both species have compositionality, if we both know how to put the two words together for big cat or big storm, right? And we're saying these same words to each other in these same phrases over and over again, well, it would make sense that we would start adding more subtext to these phrases independently, right? So it's possible that complex compositionality did pop up in parallel.
Yeah.
It's more likely. It's not 100% likely. It's still possible that complex compositionality came from this ancestor, but we know that at least compositionality did, and that's why we have to fund these researchers' time machine.
That's really where we're getting to with this whole thing. Is
I buried the lead. This is actually a story about time travel, but I wanted to
it's good to start with the bonobos.
I wanted to set the scene. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to, they invented time travel. Well, without context, who cares? Without context,
nobody has ever cared about time travel.
No, time travel.
Until they heard about the bonobos and their hoots, whistles, and hollers.
Yeah, it's got to come from somewhere. The characters need motivation.
Can I tell you my problem with all of this? And I hate to be cynical. I don't doubt these scientists' methodology. I'm sure it's sound. And I'm sure it's backed by, a lot of real science.
Yeah.
But it seems to me from the outside looking in, just a cursory glance at this, it seems to me it relies an awful lot on interpretation.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so if it's like, hey, every time they've said that hoot, it means get over here, or it seems to mean get over here because people get over there. But now they're saying it when they're humping. So it must be more sophisticated, or it could just not mean any of the fucking shit you think it means, right?
Right.
It could just be a random sound that they're making in two different contexts.
That's true. Right? So, but here's what I'm going to say to that. How dare you insult linguists? And what I mean,
like I said,
and what
I'm
I
sure
mean,
the science is sound.
I mean by that is they are desperately listening for differences, linguistic differences in these hoots and hollers, right? These are the sort of people that, like, you think about the slight difference when we say them and then.
Yeah.
Right? This is what linguists are looking for. This is what people who study communication are looking for. You can't just walk away and be like, well, it sounds the same. Right. Them and then, like, that sounds like they're saying it either means a bunch of people or the past. I don't know. It's stupid. Like,
or like Mandarin having the inflection, the same exact word, but the inflection changes the meaning dramatically.
Tonal accent. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So they have to listen for this. It's particularly when you're talking about zip zops, hoops, and wheeps, or whatever the fuck it is, right? Like, you've only got 4 categories.
Game of zip zap zop.
That's right.
These bonobos, their fucking improv warm-ups are amazing. Listen, they just get zip zap zop with the best of them.
We thought that bonobos had complex language, and then we saw that they're into improv, and we immediately stopped studying it. Because that's the last thing we need. The last thing we need are more fucking idiots who are into improv. I don't want an invitation to the Bonobos improv show. I don't want to hear their clever improv name.
Yeah. Bronobos.
Yeah, we're the Bonobos. We're the bro yes and bros.
You should see them do a really spirited round of Big Booty, though. They can crush it.
So, they're listening for these different intonations. Now, what they will say, this was done by the University of Zurich, by the way. And
I retract my previous insults into the science. I had no idea it was the University of Zurich.
That's right. But Klaus Zuberbuehler,
Gesundheit,
who is a specialist at the origins of language at the University of St. Andrews, UK, was not involved in the study, but has previously supervised 2 of the authors as PhD students. And he said he looked over the study and it seems highly valuable due to the extensive data collected in the field. But did say, yes, you're correct, Jeff. There are limitations to the study because these authors do not have any direct information on the meanings of the calls they recorded, right? These calls that they recorded, like you're saying, we have every reason to believe that contextually they picked up everything that they think. They found patterns that are definitely there. Does it mean that these things are exactly right? Probably not. But they said in the end, and this is what's wild, Jeff, in the end, it will be necessary to ask the bonobos themselves whether they agree with the proposed dictionary and the meaning compositions identified by the authors. This motherfucker sat and was like, okay, you speak bonobo now? Fucking do it.
But hey, so here's the question.
You speak bonobo now, right? You speak it? You went in? My students?
Ask them.
My students. You went in, you published this study that says that you speak bonobo now? Go ahead. Do it. What happens when you speak bonobo to the bonobos, you fucking idiots?
The problem is, though, is earning the bonobos' trust.
That's right.
How do you do that? That's hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why you got to get in there and just like take a couple of the intro classes with them.
Yeah, exactly. You got to start small. You got to do all the warm-up games.
That's right. And then you do the class show and everybody pats each other in the back and goes, got your back. And that's when the bonobos trust you. And then, because you don't leave them hanging in front of an audience, right?
Yeah. You need to find out the hoot and the holler for yes and.
That's right, because those are the 2 most important words
for bonobos.
For bonobo improv. But I do love that this. I have to tell you, Jeff, that when I was reading this article and I was reading the study, to get to this reaction was the funniest thing in the world because it said so plainly, so matter of factly, like they're talking about, we have these this common ancestor 7 to 13 million years ago, and they recorded over 700 calls, and they did all this, and they did all that. And then this one fucking German guy sitting behind a desk is like, well, of course, now we must ask the bonobos. It's like, what? Like, that's the logic.
There's only one way to know for sure.
Yeah, the logical conclusion is we got to go have a fucking cocktail party with the bonobos then.
Yeah.
And I read this, and I cracked up so hard. I was like, what an end. What a cliffhanger to leave.
It really is.
Klaus really left us there. Like, yeah, we do have to. It's like the jump from like Jurassic World to Jurassic World 2 to Jurassic World 3, where it's like, okay, well, what do we do now? Well, now we got to show a world where dinosaurs are laser guided weapons. What? Yeah, that's the next step. That's the next step. That's why Spielberg didn't want to make another one. Because it gets real dumb from here on out.
Yeah.
It gets stupid from here on out.
You got a room full of PhD students all going, whoa, whoa. Yeah. You got to do the vocal warm up. Sure.
Yeah. I just
What's
love
it to do to die today?
It's just so perfect because up until now, they were perfectly respectable researchers. I picture thinking of themselves in a Jane Goodall sort of way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're sitting there in this beautiful reserve where these animals are being looked after and cared for, and they have their field
humping.
They have their field recorders, and they're recording 700. They're writing down all their linguistic information. They have tables and charts and stuff, and it's like, and then this dude says to them, "Now go have a tea party with them.
Now speak it, bitches."
Yeah, go sit across from them with a little tea dress on, and pick up your little teacup and ask them how they're. Pick it up and go. And see if you get the answer you expect.
Yeah. You made a dictionary? Sweet. Now learn it.
Yeah. And now we're going to record you doing that with the monkeys, and everybody's going to watch it. And they must feel so stupid now. They must have like turned in their books and been like, well, there you go. Professor Zuberbuehler, we're thinking about having this published. We would love to get your opinions on it. He's like, yeah, of course. It's like, he's going to think we look so cool. Zuberbuehler's going to think he's like, now go be fools. Now go act like morons in the jungle, you fools.
You will wear costumes. You will walk amongst them, and you will speak. And if you can get one to hump your hiney, then you have won.
Juggle with them. Go juggle and ride the little unicycles that the monkeys ride. And only then
they use slang. They use slang. Is that what they use? Learn their slang. Stand with them on the street corner and learn their slang terms.
While everyone you respect is watching. That's
pretty baller. That's how you know you have tenure.
That's right.
You know?
That's also when I, as a student, as a PhD, would absolutely tap out. I'd be like, no. I came up with the dictionary. If somebody else wants to go yip and yop in the fucking jungle with these monkeys and then record it and present it to scientists and be like, I'm a respectable person, they can do that. That's not for me. I don't do that.
Yeah.
But
look, some of the last year's PhD students just got back from their excursion. They're filthy. They've been living in the woods for 6 months.
Oh, how was the poo flinging, you morons? It looks as though you have some of it still on your faces. Tell me, do the monkeys vocalize? Tell me, was their compositionality non-trivial? It looks like their poo fights were non-trivial. I'd call you a buffoon, but I suppose it's more like baboon. Get out of my office. There will be no grant money for you. Good day. But I do think this is cool because if they have the right of it, this is just another one of those animal intelligence stories that I really love where it's like, no, somebody doing a creature doing something differently than you do it doesn't mean that they are not intelligent. Doesn't mean that they are not doing the thing that you're doing. They just do it in a different way. And if these monkeys do have not just simple, and remember, we're still trying to convince a lot of people. There are a lot of people, not just in the general population, but also in the academic population that don't necessarily believe that apes, monkeys, gorillas, whatever, can use language.
Right. Yeah.
There's still a lot of discussion about, was Coco the gorilla really expressing feeling or just mirroring, right?
Yeah. This is like the same thing we're dealing with all the AI right now. It's like, what the mimicry, or is it mimicry or genuine consciousness, genuine thought?
Yeah. And the idea that they are using metaphor or slang does go a long way to prove that there is thought behind it. Because if these two things can be put together into an abstract concept that is not immediately clear, then that means that they put that subtext into it. And that means that they are thinking about it. Yeah.
It might just be a series of random sounds that they made.
That's the other,
imposing our, inferences on. But I'm inclined to agree with you. Although my takeaway from this is more like, man, every animal has a way to say, let's get it on, right?
And isn't that beautiful?
It's beautiful. That's just nature, baby.
Isn't that beautiful that, hey, it's like my favorite children's book when I was a kid. It was, I believe it was written by the guy who did the Hungry Hungry Caterpillar. It was called Everybody Fucks.
Everybody Fucks. Yeah.
And it was a pop-up book of just all the different animals fucking. Do you remember that one? It was beautiful. It had the watercolor artwork.
It was so good. It was like on a Monday, the bonobo fucked a strawberry. But he was still hungry. On a Tuesday, the bonobo fucked a watermelon. And he was still hungry.
And it was like, hey, man, what is this book about? Because I thought it was going to go one way, and it definitely went another. I definitely remember flipping through the book and being like, oh, doesn't the bonobo fuck another bonobo? And then they'll show like another animal.
Not until Sunday, see, and then they were finally full and they turned into a butterfly.
Yeah, I think somebody needs to check on the author of the Hungry Hungry Caterpillar. I think they might have finally descended into dementia.
Sequels are hard.
Sequels are hard. True. And that's what we're saying is like, the jump from Jurassic World to Jurassic World 2. It's like, I don't know. Now we're in a haunted mansion and it's Resident Evil. It's not easy.
It's not.
Sometimes a story needs to end, just like this story is ending right now. Hey, thank you so much for listening. And hey, a double special ultra zip zap zop yippee yippee yo yay monkey style to everybody who supports us over on Patreon.
Yes. If you could interpret our hoots and hollers, it would be like, get down here and not fuck, but like maybe help us out and keep the show going by hopping over into our Patreon, which is patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. You can ensure the continuance of this show. You can support it. You can reward us for maybe giving you a chuckle, entertain you, maybe giving you something to think about. And you can also get some cool stuff for yourself in the process.
That's right. At just $1 a month, you get access to our Discord. You can hang out with all the other listeners of the show. And then at $3, $5 going up, you start getting extra stuff like bonus episodes, bonus audio, Q&A sessions, video, all kinds of great stuff. Check it out at patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. Yep, 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 whoop, whoop, zip, ow.